Hi, welcome to my video on solving equations with rational expressions, part 1. Solve equations with rational expressions. The steps I'm going to use is I'm going to factor the denominators. That will give me the restrictions that I have on my fractions that is in the equation. I'm going to find the LCD, and I'm going to multiply all fractions by the LCD. That will cancel out the denominators, as we can see in step 5. So by multiplying all fractions by the LCD, we can cancel the denominators. We solve the equation, we check for extraneous roots, and we state the solution. Let's do some examples. And the equation in this video has a single solution, linear. Let's solve each for x. There's no denominators to factor. There's no restrictions because there's no variables in the denominator. So the LCD for these three equations is 6. We have to find the LCD for all equations. What we're going to do now is multiply each fraction by the LCD. That means that's the same as multiplying each equation. Remember when we did 2x plus 3y equals 7? And we multiplied the equation by 4, and we got 8x plus 12y equals 28. Well, that's what I'm doing here. I'm multiplying the whole equation by 6, but I'm putting the 6 with each fraction. In that way, 2 into 6 goes 3, and I get a 3x. 3 into 6 goes 2, and I get 2x plus 2. 6 cancels into 6 once, so I get 1 times 4x plus 4 gives me 4x plus 4, and then I solve. So 5x plus 2 equals 4x plus 4. 5x minus 4x equals 4 minus 2. X equals 2. There's no restrictions, so the solution, I'm going to write SOL. The solution is 2. That's the answer. SOL is short for solution or answer. So B, I have the denominators are single, so that you don't need to factor, and that means the restriction is when x equals 0. That's the restriction, x equals 0. So the LCD is 2x and x, so the LCD is 2x. So I'm going to multiply all fractions by the LCD of 2x. Notice I'm writing 2x in front of every fraction. 2 cancels into 2x, x times 3 is 3x. X cancels out, and I get a negative 2 times x minus 2, so it's negative 2x plus 4. The x cancels out. I get 2 times x minus 3, 2x minus 6. And I simplify each side because we got less to transpose. So x minus 2x equals negative 6 minus 4. Negative x is negative 10. Divide by negative 1. And x is 10. The restriction is 0, so the solution to this problem is 10. Because you look at this restriction here is 0. And if this answer here is a 0, the same as this, that's going to make the denominator 0, so we can't use it. And what happens is this. Let me explain a little bit more right here. If you take a fraction like 2 over 3 and you multiply the fraction by x minus 1, then what? Multiplying this fraction by x minus 1 over x minus, you made an equivalent fraction. But notice now, because you multiplied by x minus 1, x equal to 1 is a restriction because you got a 1 in the denominator. So when you multiply fractions by rational expressions like x plus 4, x minus 6, or 2x plus 3 or anything, what you do, you're creating a value that will make the denominator 0. So when you multiply a fraction by an expression, you're creating another number that will make the denominator 0. So we got to be careful of that. Explain more of that as we go. C, we have to make sure our denominators are factored. So what we got to check with, these two here is multiply. -3 by 1 is -3. Add, we get -2. So it looks like the factorization of this trinomial, there are these two. So that means I have it factored, and so that means the restrictions are x equals 3 and -1. So that's, I'm going to write that, that's the restrictions. X equals 3 is the restriction, x equals -1 is restriction. Since these two are the same, we got a restriction. Now that the LCD is x minus 3 times x plus 1. The LCD has to be these two, and since this is factored the same as these two, that's the LCD. Now, you just got to be careful of writing this down. So if I go x minus 3 times x plus 1, and I put x minus 3 times x plus 1, what I'm doing, I'm multiplying each denominator by the LCD. I'm not rewriting the equation. I'm just putting the LCD times each fraction just to the left of each of these fractions. Notice, put a bracket there if you want. So when you multiply, every denominator should, if your LCD is correct, every denominator should cancel out. So I have an x times x plus 1. X plus 1 cancels, so I have an x minus 3 times x plus 3. And both of these cancel out, so I have 1. That's a 1 when they count. 1 times 5x plus 5. Notice I wrote this down again so you can see it. I didn't multiply it. I just canceled and left this x times that. And notice I canceled and I had x minus 3 times x plus 3. I wrote this down so you can see it. Now I will multiply x squared plus x squared. Notice minus 9, and the outside is plus 3, inside is minus 3, so they cancel out. 1 times this expression gives you the same terms. Notice the x squared is on both sides, so they cancel out. So I get an x equals 5x minus 4. So x minus 5x equals -4. -4x is -4. Divide by -4 and I get a 1. 1 is my answer to the problem. My restrictions are 3 and -1. 1 is not that, so the solution to this problem is 1. The solution is 1. 1 fits the problem. Now if you took 1 and subbed back in for x everywhere and worked it out, you would see that both sides of the equation become true. So when you get the answer, you check this answer against your restrictions. And if this answer right here was -1, -1 here with a -1 here, we can't use it, so there's no solution. More explanations coming up. Practice. Let's do some practice in solving these now. And we have to factor denominators. Don't have to. Restrictions? None, because there's no variable. The LCD is 12. 3 and 4 will divide into 12, so it's 12 multiplied by each fraction. So 12 cancels into 12 once, so that gives us 1. 3 into 12 goes 4, so 4 times x plus 1 is 4x plus 4. 4 cancels into 12 3 times, so we get a 6x plus 3. 3 times 2x plus 1. And we simplify each side. You should make that a habit of simplifying each side of the equation before you transpose. Now x's to the left, numbers to the right. -2x is -2. Divide by -2 and I get a 1. There's no restriction, so the solution to this problem is x is 1. And again, if you sub x back in and work to both sides, you get the same thing, same answer. Makes the equation, makes 1 the solution. Now, we have to make sure the denominators are factored. So, without rewriting this, I'm going to make this 2 times x plus 4. I'm going to save myself time. So, the restriction is x equals negative 4. Negative 4 will give me a 0. So now we got the restrictions done. What is the LCD? So the LCD is, we have to have a 2 and an x plus 4. So that means we multiply this fraction here by 2 times x plus 4. Oh, I forgot. When we subtract, we should always add on the opposite. And that's true anytime you go to subtract. When you subtract, we add on the opposite. Make that a negative x. That means we have all pluses, less trouble. So we continue to multiply by 2 times x plus 4. 2 times x plus 4. So we cancel. Every denominator should cancel if we get it done right. X plus 4 cancels. 2 times x plus 2 is 2x plus 4. 2x plus 4 cancels, and I get a 1 times negative x. And 2 cancels. I get 3 times x plus 4, which is 3x plus 12. Simplify. X plus 4 equals 3x plus 12. X's to the left, numbers to the right. Negative 2x is 8. Divide by negative 2. X is negative 4. The restriction is negative 4. Because the restriction is negative 4, because I have x is negative 4 here, the solution, there's none. We could say the empty set. Empty set means there's no solutions. So that means there's none. There's no solution. Because we have a negative 4 for answer, when we put a negative 4 back here, we get a 0. Or if we put a negative 4 here, we'll get a 0. And that's undefined, so we can't do it. We can't use the negative 4 because the restriction is negative 4. Negative 4 came up to be my answer. Negative 4 gives me 0, so I can't use it. Empty set. Practice. Now we have to make sure the denominator is factored. So without rewriting the question, let's simplify this. Let's factor this denominator here. So I can see that the restrictions is x equals, restrictions is 0 for this x, or this one, and negative 5 for this one. So there's 2 restrictions. Why? Because we got an x squared, we got 2 restrictions. So what is the LCD? The LCD is x times x plus 5. That x plus 5 times x, or there it is there. So we multiply x times x plus 5. All fractions are multiplied by x times x plus 5. That means, put that in brackets if you wish, you don't have to. I'm just doing it. So when I multiply, every denominator should cancel. X plus 5 cancels. So I get x times 20, 20x. X cancels. I get 5 times x plus 5, which is 5x plus 25. And x cancels. X plus 5 cancels. So that's a 1 times x, which is x. Simplify the left side. I get a 25x plus 25 equals x. So 25x minus x equals 25. So 24x equals 25. So let's see, do I have every? Yep, I think I got everything done. I had a different answer, but we divide by 24, everything works. I just, x is 25 over 24. And so the zeros are 0 and negative 5, so the solution is 25 over 24. You can get fractions. And everything works out okay. Number 5, restrictions, but we have to factor our denominator. So it's x outside of x minus 2, 3 outside of x minus 2. So that means the restrictions is 0 and 2. The LCD is, I have a 3x times x minus 2. So I got a 3x times x minus 2 times the first one. I got a 3x times x minus 2 times the second one. And I got a 3x times x minus 2 times the third one. So every denominator should cancel. 3x cancels, so I get 1 times x minus 2. Guess what we forgot to do? We forgot to add on the opposite. Add on negative x plus 4. When you work these out, always add on the opposite. You should have no subtraction when you're working out these expressions, even solving equations, addition, or you're subtracting, simplifying any. Get rid of the subtraction sign. Add on the opposite. So the x cancels, the x minus 2 cancels, so I get 3 times negative x plus 4. 3 cancels, x minus 2 cancels, so I get 8 times x is 8x. Now the reason I didn't multiply this out, which I could have, because I just wanted to show you, I could have multiplied 1 by x minus 2 and got that. I could have multiplied 3 by negative x, let's make that a negative, 3x plus 12. So I didn't have to do this, I could have multiplied it right from here. That's negative 2x plus 10 equals 8. X, negative 2x minus 8x equals negative 10. Negative 10x equals negative 10. Divide by negative 10. X is 1. Restrictions are 0 and 2. So therefore, 1 is okay. So the solution is 1. 1 is my solution. Because this answer is not one of those, so I'm okay to use it. So let's continue. Last one to do. Now we have to, I'm going to rewrite this to make sure. I'm going to factor my denominators first. Oh, I'm going to add on the opposite too. So I'm going to add on, and I'll write that, I'm going to add on negative x plus 2. So notice I have a subtraction, so I'm adding on the opposite to make negative x plus 2. So the factorization is x and x, 3 and 1, and a plus 3 and a minus 1. Factor that very quickly, and then x plus 6, and that's 2. It's the GCF, x plus 3. So, restrictions. What are the restrictions? That's on this equation. So in the denominator, we cannot have a 1, or we can't have a negative 3. 1 and negative 3 will give me a 0 on the bottom. And the LCD is 2 times x minus 1 times x plus 3. I have to have a 2, x minus 1, x plus 3. Now, 2 times x minus 1, x plus 3. Just be careful. And it's 2 times x minus 1, x plus 3 times this one. And 2 times x minus 1, x plus 3. It takes a longer to write it down than it is to do it. So we have the LCD multiplied by every fraction. So that means every denominator should cancel. 2 cancels, x minus 1 cancels. So notice I get an x plus 3 times x plus 2. X minus 1 cancels, x plus 3 cancels, so I get a 2 times negative x plus 2. The 2 cancels, and the x plus 3 cancels. I get an x minus 1 times x plus 6. So notice when I cancel them out, be careful. This is why I'm writing this down again. So after I get this all canceled, I can see the expressions that I have to multiply. Now I multiply these. You can see it. So x times x is x squared. 3 times 2 is 6. And the outside is 2. Inside is 3. So that's a 5x. And I get negative 2x plus 4. A FOIL here again. First 2 is x squared. Last 2 is negative 6. And that's a plus 6 minus 1, which is a plus 5. So without multiplying it all out, I quickly do the FOIL. And simplify. I have to simplify each side. I see an x squared. I see a plus 3x and a plus 10. And this side is already simplified. Now, the x squareds cancel because they're on each side. So I have a 3x minus 5x equals negative 6 minus 10. Negative 2x equals negative 18. Divided by negative 2, x is 9. Oh, that's a, see what I did? Added 6 and 10 and got 18. It should have been 6. 16. So that's a plus 8. The restrictions are 1 and negative 3. 8 is my solution. So the solution to this problem is 8, because this solution is not one of the restrictions. So notice how we solve equations, and I solve equations by eliminating or multiplying by the LCD. That cancels out all denominators, and then you solve it from there. A good way to solve equations with fractions: multiply by the LCD. And watch out for the restrictions. If you like my video, click the like button, subscribe button, and notification bell, because there's more videos coming. Visit my website, www.mathfullyexplained, to find more information about me, my videos, and the content. And that's the content that's on my YouTube channel called Math Fully Explained. Thank you for viewing my video. Bye-bye.